them into teeny tiny little pieces!
30 publishers said no to Antonblast, but the Kickstarter community saved it. This is a blessing for us who likes nostalgia. You know, the old school kind. We got the humor of the late 90s and early aughts Cartoon Network, plus swearing, gameplay that expands on the idea of the most classic of platformers, and boss fights that are just as annoying as the ones in Cuphead. I recommend this game highly if you like being put to the test in a quirky and loud universe. This is Antonblast. Opening up Antonblast, you instantly get shouted at, and a bar falls on Anton's head. The simplistic humor of the early odds hits you even before you have been told the controls, even before you've grasped the controller. When you get into the game, you soon realize how fast-paced this game is. The gameplay is simple, but not easy. Smash, dash, crash, and jump. And those are basically the actions. Put them together the right way to beat a level as fast as possible. Or go exploring and look for extra relics hidden throughout the maps to 100% the game. And no, I'm not a 100%er. But there is a depth to this game, and lots of it. You can play the story and be satisfied. You can do speedruns of each level and be satisfied. And you can explore hidden pathways and difficult bonus levels for hours and hours. All are possible. Nostalgia is a huge part of the game's appeal. Smashing crates like in Crash Bandicoot, bashing enemies, jumping skillfully over huge chasms, music pounding in your ears. As the pixels uncontrollably explode on your screen, you feel overwhelmed. In a good way. It's tough to explain, but sometimes you beat a level without knowing exactly what happened during. You almost need to slow-mo the footage to understand. It's amazing.
No. I see.
And the end of each level gets even more stressful.
Oh no.
A timed sprint back to the portal from which you came. You come back through the same parts of the map you've already been. Memorizing the same map backwards when you've already beat it pretty fast is hard. It's punishing. And sometimes when you think you've reached the end with over a minute to spare, you take a deep breath and sit back until the door changes and you're not done. It doesn't happen in every level, but it's just enough that you end up fearing it at the end.
Oh, you're telling me that was too easy?
And the bosses. Oh dear, the bosses.
Excuse me? Hello?
The game forces you to use every single thing you've learned so far when you fight the bosses.
What in the actual fuck?
I will not spoil the game for you, but I will just say that the bosses in their own ways all are very satisfying to play, especially the last boss. And each boss has its own quirks, which makes you sometimes squint at the screen to try and follow what's even going on. As I said in the beginning, we almost didn't get to play this game. In an interview from before the game came out, the game's lead designer Tony Grayson talked to GameMaker, which is also the game engine used to make the game. 30 publishers rejected the idea for Antonblast, but after the success of Anton Ball Deluxe, they were adamant about Antonblast and decided to do a Kickstarter. They wanted to expand on that universe and show love to all the games that came before it. And people jumped on board. It almost doubled the $75,000 goal and was fully funded in under 3 days. He reveals a lot in the interview with GameMaker. As I started playing the game, I immediately compared the humor and style to Earthworm Jim, a childhood favorite. And other than Earthworm Jim, he mentions Crash Bandicoot, Cuphead, and Wario Land as inspirations. He didn't want to copy those games. He and the team at Summitsphere wanted Antonblast to feel familiar but new, and to me, they succeeded. On the Boomer portal that is Facebook, there is a page called Classic Cartoon Network 1992 to 2004. And this game really brought me back to this period in time. With Dexter's Laboratory, Ed, Edd and Eddy, Powerpuff Girls, Cow and Chicken, I Am Weasel, Johnny Bravo and other classics dominated. The exaggerated drawings, the over-the-top, sometimes slapstick humor, the shouting of punchlines, and the silly personalities. All of it created a wonderful universe of characters and something to look forward to when you came home from school. For example, take the shop owner between levels in Antonblast. You can buy skins, power-ups, and special items. During my run, I bought 2 things. A cowboy hat and some shades, and this is what happens with each. So I want to show you a detail in this game. Remember, okay, so you remember when I bought the shutter shades, right? Oh, now it looks like this. So, you know, this meme is done. I also bought a hat. Look at the top of the screen. It's subtle. Going back to Cartoon Network, it is not difficult to make the comparison between the Red Devil and Satan from Antonblast. They've already done it on Reddit, and as you search Devil and Cow and Chicken on Google Images, the comparison comes up unprompted. The alluring way of speaking, the goofiness of the plots, all the way down to the big exposed butt.
The devil himself to flash before your eyes? This isn't a game.
The writing in the game is very on the nose.
Goddamn son of a bitch!
Very direct. Just like the cartoons millennials grew up on. But to be clear, this doesn't make the audience of the game millennials only. To be honest, I understand why publishers didn't take this project on. Because this is not some focus-tested, shareholder-centric idea. Yeah, tell us about your game. So it's a fast-paced platformer with humor and graphics from the aughts, where you play as the reddest guy on the planet, and the big bad evil guy is Satan, who is mad that he is not the reddest on the planet. Okay. But the simplicity of the story lets us focus on the riveting gameplay and laugh at the simple, but somehow still clever jokes that are sprinkled in. This game is the epitome of a good indie game. A game that the developer themselves wants to play and don't see in the current market, so they make it themselves. Okay. Love emanates out of the screen constantly, and fans of every game that inspired Antonblast will feel this love as they pull out their hairs at the difficulty of the later levels. What? And I hope that more people discover this gem of an indie game. In all, this is a classic I will recommend to anyone who asks me for a platformer.
There, don't smile because it happened. Cry because it's over!
If you enjoyed this review, consider subscribing and liking the video. And you can also follow me on Twitch at twitch.tv/rsator. See you next time.